Do a quick farm on the Master Grasp of Avarice dungeon, the final checkpoint, which is the captain. This is basically going to be showing you 60 to 70 clears in a team run, not solo. I do not recommend you solo farm this dungeon on master difficulty because the damage requirement is far too high. You're going to take too long per clear. It's no good. It's a team farm this. If you want to farm the stats on the armor and stuff, then you want to do it in a team. And also, you really want to do farm it this season, the last couple of days, because the chances are you're going to be really high power. You're going to be the highest power that you are right now, because you've farmed all season, whatever. So you're going to be closer to the requirement for Grasp of Avarice. Next season, the dungeon will go up in power again. I'm assuming, based on how it's worked, it's going to be up again, and it means that you need to farm 30 artifact power and be max pinnacle score to even be on level with the dungeon. I am 15 now, just I haven't got all the pieces equipped, my 1560 stuff, because I'm here to showcase the armor. But yeah, now do you want to do that again next season? I don't. So I want to farm all my pieces this season while I'm high enough power, because next season I'm going to lay off the XP sort of train, if I can help it. Just depends if the next dungeon's going to have a master difficulty mode with a really absurd high power. I don't know, but yeah, it's worth doing in these last couple of days. And the reason why it's the best armor in the game is because of this slot that it states. Artifice armor. This contains a bonus socket that can be used to equip artifact armor mods from the current season. So I'll go through each piece why it's important. Obviously, these are the mods that we have this season. It's going to change next season. So the armor is only as good as the seasonal mods. If the seasonal mods are really good, the armor is really good. If the seasonal mods are rubbish, then the armor doesn't really matter. So hopefully the seasonal mods are good coming up. So I'll go through each slot because each slot isn't as important as the next. So for example, the helmet. Is the helmet important to have an Artifice armor slot? It isn't that important because historically, the helmet seasonal mods are mainly support style mods with like targeting mods. This is PvP stuff. So if you're into PvP, fair enough, it maybe is. PvE wise, which you know that's what I cover, it isn't. The helmet's not that important, but it's there. For example, you can make it work. You can have like this season you could have Psychonic Forge in 1 and 2. If you've got a Psycho Hack and a Land Tank weapon, you can use both and build craft by using like Power Preservation, Ashes to Assets, any or ammo finders, so I get more extra utility out of it a little bit. But the helmet's not that important. The gauntlets are. The gauntlets you can run 3 champion stun mods. Now this season it's not that important, but previous seasons there was Unstoppable Grenade Launcher or Anti-Barrier Sniper. So just imagine this was Unstoppable GL. I could then run Unstoppable an extra unstoppable mod or an overload weapon mod, and then so you can see, look, I've got 3 weapons on to stun enemies. Obviously it doesn't make sense this season because they're all primaries, obviously, but next season if there's a heavy introduced into these mods, it will make a bit of sense. But if it doesn't, then what you could then do is run 2 stun mods. Let's put something else on. Run 2 stun mods and then run a grenade kickstart, a loader perk. So I could, for example, have overload auto plus enhanced auto loader. Then I've got a reload mod with this, and then I've got my barrier. So you can see the build potential with the gauntlets. Gauntlets very important. Chestplate very important. Also, reason being is because you can stack resistances better than you can on any other armor piece. Reason being is because you can put a seasonal mod here. If there's resistance. That's if there's resistance. If we don't get resistance, then this doesn't apply. But if we do get a resistance mod next season, then you can do what I'm doing here. You can run double Thermal Shock, which gives you double arc and double solar, with a concussive dampener, which concussive dampener stacks with this resistance. I'll give you an example, a scenario of how that would work. Say, for example, you're trying to kill a arc boomer knight or a boomer champion. He's doing arc damage. He's doing area of effect damage to you when it's hitting the floor. Concussive dampener will give you resistance against that, and also Thermal Shock will. So that's more resistance than what you would normally have. You can't stack 3. Right, we've already experimented with that. You can't. But as I said, you can even run sniper resistance. So you can mix and match resistances better on this armor. Now on the boots. The boots aren't as important. Last season, Sword Scavenger was stacking. Enhanced Sword Scav was stacking. So you could you run 3 and you get more ammo per brick. It was bugged, I think. But now the scavengers that are up this season aren't stacking. So like Glaive Scavenger doesn't stack, Rocket Scavenger doesn't stack. But just depends on what we get next season. But just for example, this season, what could have been good? I could have run recuperation. If I was running a rocket, then I can have this on and a glaive. So I would get rocket, glaive, and I would get recuperation on, which is an orb mod. It frees up a mod slot. So the boots aren't as important. It just depends, but they're still handy to have. And then finally, the class item, which is very, very important. All the big hidden mods come in this slot, in the class item slot. Right, so you can't put a seasonal mod anywhere. They're all dedicated to each armor piece. So, for example, the big hidden mods this season were Loosen Finisher, Suppression Glaive, Suppressive Darkness. So I can run all that stuff in this slot, but still free up a class item mod like Utility Kickstart, Special Finisher, Bomber. You can make things. You're getting a power gain out of it, right? I can put Overload Grenades here. You know, so there's things that can open up with the build perspective. And as I said, all the big seasonal mods come. So the class item, and they're not dictated by stats. They all come with the same stats. So you don't need to farm a stat piece on it. What I do recommend is having 3 or 4 of them. So I've got a Stasis one, Arc one, a Void one. So I've got 3. For easy enough, I can change to Solar any time when I need to, which I do often. But yeah, it's the Corrupting Echo. So have a couple of pieces on each class, the class item. But yeah, my top picks, as I say, the class item, chestplate, gauntlets. Those 3 are the most important pieces, in my opinion, for the Avarice armor. So that's why it's good to farm it. But onto the setup itself. My mods, I ran this yesterday, so I can't show you my exact setup, but it doesn't really matter because your mods, just run what you run in high end. This is what I ran on Warlock. The team composition I recommend is a Warlock, a Hunter, and a Titan. The Warlock you want on Well of Radiance, the Titan you want on Bubble, and the Hunter you want it on probably Revenant, or you can have them on Tether. It doesn't matter because I don't see many teams one phase in the Captain Avarokk on mass difficulty. If you are, you're at your peak and you're using like Izanagi's Burden with the Palomar B and you're using Supreme Wellmaker and all that stuff. Most teams aren't doing that. So this is going to be a 2 phase for most LFG teams or any team that's underpowered for the activity. So, as I said, Well of Radiance, you know, I'm going to use Solar Grenade, doesn't really matter. Heal and Rift, of course. I recommend if you're Warlock in your team, I'm on Blinding Grenades. I'm using the Exotic Bolt of Monarch because it one-shots the barriers. There's barriers in this. And then, out of heavy choice for all your for the free characters, I recommend 2 of you with Rage's Regret on, or the best linear fusion rifle that you have. And then the third character, probably whoever's the lowest character in your team, they need to run Divinity. They run Divinity, and the 2 highest power guardians, they run a good linear. We found in my team, Rage's Regret was the best. Triple tap Firing Line because of ammo and because Firing Line's insane in team play. If you haven't got a good Rage's Regret, I don't recommend rockets, definitely not for this. What you could also run is Sleeper Simulant. That is your auto default. It does a lot of damage. I don't think it's as good as Reed's, but it's a good substitute if you're a newish player to the game. So there's Sleeper as your next best bet, but I do think Reed's is the sort of best bet, or even a good well-rolled Cataclysmic with bait and switch. With the Witherhoard setup, you can do that if you wish. But yeah, that's what sort of I ran. And my other, as I said, the other 2 were Titan and a Hunter. One with Divinity, one with, you know, a similar setup to myself. So that's what I was using. So as we start the run, we'll rally. Make sure that you have a double linear fusion rifle chest plate on when you rally, so you get more reserves. That works out really good for this fight. If you're using Sleeper, then it'd be 16 shots. Then swap back to a resistance style chestplate with double Thermoshock or Thermoshock Concussive, whichever. As you start the fight, I'm going to do a well at the top of the stairs. That's my job. The other 2 classes will use a Tether and a Thunder Crash, which will wipe out both the Ultra Sniper and the Marauder, which I highly recommend doing that. The Marauder will then drop 10 riches. The classes can organizer who's picking those up. But for you on the Warlock, your job, the way I done it was, my job was blinding all the ads, taking out barrier champs. Took out the barrier on the left hand side. If you can prioritize getting finisher kills, because I have loose and finisher on, or you can have your hunter do this because they can go invis. Just primary all the barriers. You get one left, one right, one beach. Because if you do that, you will then have ammo for phase 2 of the fight, which is huge. So that means you don't have to farm ads, because there are infinite ads here, but you wouldn't even need to do that because you have the bricks on the floor. Obviously, make sure you're rocking your scavengers on your boots always. Okay, always be doing that. Now we'll head to beach. Our Titan does thunder crashes anyways because we're confident with this fight at this point. We also have God rolled reeds on, which has triple tap on it, which means we can be more risky with our ammo, whereas if you run sleeper, which is a good substitute, but you need to be more careful with your ammo, and you need to get probably all finishes on all the champs. There'll be 3 each phase, so that's 6 if you're doing 2 phases on him. So now we've wiped out all the barriers, pretty simple to do. Now we're just going to wait for our cannon guy to... He's going to do a double cannon shot so that we're getting basically 20 riches per side. Obviously we've coordinated earlier on who's on which side, who's on beach, who's on left, who's on right. You know, that's all done in advance. You don't need exactly 20 per character because you'll have dunked 20 riches from the first phase. So, you know... And you're going to do damage from middle. To do damage from middle though, you need a well, really, and the bubble. Titan will put a bubble on the left or right hand side of you. You need whichever side. And then the well just directly in middle. That way you can strafe in and out of the bubble while the Divinity user is just spamming the div, tap firing it, while the 2 higher power guardians lay into him with the reeds. You can see it's working really well. And Veist Stinger just keeps proccing. I didn't reload the entire damage phase. Now I know the damage phase is ended, so I'm saving heavy. And the boss is way less than half HP. Obviously it's a 2 phase, so we're setting up for that. We could have done more damage, but we didn't need to because we'll get him on the 2nd phase. And I've got ammo for anything that we need to do. Now this is an advanced technique here because on phase 2, the barrier champions don't spawn out immediately, which means you've got a little bit of time to get a cannon and get a stack of 10 riches. Obviously, if you didn't know, if you get a 10 stack of riches, you get your super. So what we can do is super the sniper. The sniper's in the middle, because obviously you get a fresh spawn. You can have your Titan swap to Thunder Crash and your Warlock swap to Nova. Now, I was on the wrong Nova. I was meant to be on Nova Bomb, but I was on Nova Warp because I was messing around it probably before this. So yeah, make sure that you're on Nova Bomb, and you can just Nova Bomb and Thunder Crash the sniper, and that way you don't have to waste heavy. You don't have to waste time using your primary or something like that. So look, you can have your Titan do that, and then your Warlock obviously would Nova would finish it off, but I do anyways. And we can dunk 10 stacks, so we've actually already dunked 20, so we only need 40 for phase 2. But he would still need a double cannon shot, because that would only be 30 riches if it was a single cannon shot, because 10 each. So he would still just do a double cannon shot, you know, at the end. But that would be obviously enough riches for phase 2. You don't need to take out the Marauder. The invisible Marauder does not need to be supered, dealt with at all. He will steal riches, but that's fine because you're going to be picking up the riches faster than he can get them anyways. So obviously on phase 2 we just prioritise champions. It's RNG a little bit on which champions spawn where. Like 2 champions spawn together and the last barrier will spawn once they're killed. Now don't blind and nade the barriers like that. They fall off the map. That was actually my fault. So try to just primary the barriers. All teammates just have them primary them and then get an easy finish kill on them. Which obviously we do that. As I said, because we've got the God Rolls raids, both of us who are doing damage, our ammo doesn't matter as much because of triple tap. But if you run the sleeper, you really need to finish a kill on every champ, just about, to make sure you got the ammo. If you don't, and the champions are dead, then just keep farming the infinite wave of ads until you get said ammo. Barrier champion spawned here. We can do a healing rift, what have you. As I said, that's mainly my job, is to blind and barriers. Try and get him finishable here. He's finishable. That's ammo for everybody. So now you can see I'm just about max, which is more than enough ammo for phase 2 because he's less than 50%. That's what I'm saying. It's a really good farm when you're just 2 phasing like this. If you try and commit to a 1 phase, as I said, you can do it, but you need to really be at power and you need to be coordinating with your damage, like perfect execution with the Izanagi's and the Stasis rocket. So we'll get our riches. We don't need many, as I said, because we've already dunked 20, me and the Titan. So it really doesn't matter, right? See the invisible Marauder, he was going for the riches there. If you didn't notice, do a healing rift or invis for that. I'm going to do a well because we're getting hit pretty hard. Have the bubble Titan do the same, and then it's just a case of finish the boss fight off. Divinity makes it far easier to get your crits. So it's highly recommended you go this team comp for this if you just want to farm it for the end of the season for the Avarokk armor. Hope you enjoy. Thank you.